Hip and the lip. From the known parts of metropolitan New York City, Hip and this is a lip.
Hello, everybody in Hip and Lip Nation. Yes, good evening. How's everybody doing on this, whatever day you may be listening to this? For us, it's Wednesday, as we have an impending snowstorm about to cripple the metropolitan New York City area. Oh, fabulous. As we are getting over our collective Super Bowl hangovers, as we saw quite the amazing game on Sunday. And, that Super Bowl, I guess, was okay. But how about that Washington Capital LA Kings game that we talked about last week? Phenomenal. 5-0 Washington, I believe, was the final. Phenomenal game.
Thank you very much, the lip, with your just rating, and can't get enough remarks about the impending snowstorm, which everybody won't care about in a week, but it's okay because you're clearly concerned. We are a New York Sports Podcast. We go through all the crap and all the bitching and everything that's on our minds with respect to what's interesting in New York sports, and maybe some things that are not so interesting on the surface, but you dig a little deeper. And yes, it becomes suddenly interesting because the lip figures out a way. Maybe he doesn't figure it out.
Lines. And if you want to try and decipher anything that comes out of Phil Jackson's his Twitters, you have to dig deep because nobody knows what the hell he's talking about, which we'll get to.
We'll get to some Phil Jackson. Of course, look, it's the post Super Bowl game show, the first Super Bowl ever to go to overtime. We're going to get to it. What a ridiculous
game. A zillion records. I mean, like you could pull up like a never-ending list of records that this game set. Biggest deficit overcome and most yards, and I mean, it's just it goes on and on and on. If you have the patience for it.
Indeed, and it was just a very compelling game, and yes, of course, some Knicks and some former Knicks getting kicked out of MSG tonight. So we'll have to touch a little bit upon that very fresh story.
Yeah. We'll have to at least
your New York Islanders and Hipster Beer of the Week, and let's fire away. So I'm going to get right to the Super Bowl, okay? And I'm going to start discussion of this with a feeling that I just can't forget while watching the second half of this game.
Well,
when it went.
Well, I just want to. Here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to pose a question to you first. Well, first, I just want to say that I'm just so happy that our new education secretary, Betsy DeVos, made sure that there were plenty of guns in the stadium to keep away all those grizzly bears that were waiting to break in and disrupt the amazing football game. But here's what I want to pose to you, though. Do you feel differently? What was your initial reaction at the very, very end of that game? Do you feel differently now that we are, a few days later? I mean, do you basically feel the same way, just the way you reacted to it, the outcome, the way it unfolded? Or do you feel like after having a few days to digest it, you have like a different take or perspective on it?
I think I feel the same way. And I was about to explain kind of how that feeling came about.
Right.
And I haven't delved into all. You know what? I'll admit I have not read sports article after sports article breaking down this game following the game. I watched the whole game. I watched every play. But this is kind of my raw. Whatever I say here tonight is kind of my raw reaction to what I saw. I really didn't get gobbled up in the media aftermath of breaking down what happened here. So I'm kind of, and part of me likes that because it's us kind of going back and forth on how we saw it unfold. So again, the emotion that struck me the most when it went, the score was 28-3 early third quarter. You're sitting there thinking, all right, here we go. The NFL season comes to a head on a blowout Super Bowl game. We're going to talk next week about how the season was just full of boring blowout games, bad play, nothing really exciting, and the Super Bowl game is about to epitomize all that, right?
Indeed.
Then suddenly the Patriots start moving the football, and it wasn't the first touchdown drive that made you think that it was going to happen. I don't know exactly what single moment that, to me, completely flipped the switch and said, okay, now this is really going to happen, because there were so many things that had to go right for this team to come all the way back. But as it was unfolding,
for Atlanta to do and open the door for New England, which they rolled out the red carpet for them, and they said, "Come this way, Tom and Bill and the rest of the Pats."
So, yes, but I started to get the feeling maybe the second score for New England in the second half started to make me feel like paying attention, being glued to the TV on election night. You had
glued to the TV on election night.
So here's the similarities, and this is kind of I was going through a similar emotion here, in that. So election night, it was, the general perception was that
I had paint dinner thrown on me during election night. I said, "Oh, get me away, take me away from this."
Well, here's what I'm getting at. Right. Hillary Clinton seemed to be the odds-on favorite to win going into election night, essentially. All, most of the polls that we apparently paid attention to, and maybe we should have paid attention to other polls, whatever, Hillary had this, right? And the results started coming in, and it seemed fairly neutral. And then as the night wore on, everything that Trump needed to happen to win in the odd circumstances that laid out before election night arrived, and you're like, all right, he has to make this happen, then he has to make that happen, then he has to make that happen. All these successive things must happen and must work for him to win. And state by state, the dominoes kept falling. And eventually, the perceived big underdog, now, in the end. And I got the same feeling watching this football game in the second half, because the Patriots needed so many things to go right for them in the second half to even have a chance to come back. It was pretty much left to, they could have no errors at all. And, of course, with the aid of Atlanta, as we'll get into it. So as the game was going...
But to me, it was a huge... But Atlanta... To me, this will go down, and I don't mean to interrupt you here, but it'll go down in the annals of NFL history as the biggest collapse choke job of all time. Something that we'll probably never, ever, ever see again in all of our years we'll be alive watching the Super Bowl, however long it's going to go on for. But that's the way I took it. I mean, that's how I basically reacted, and especially after these last couple of days, that's basically how I, reacted to this game. That this really was just a complete and epic choke job by the Falcons.
Okay, so let's get into that then. So look, the defense was tired. We know Joe Buck made a point in the first half. The Falcons ran 19 offensive plays, I think it was. Some ridiculously low number.
93-46 for the game in total plays for the Patriots.
Incredible. And so, Look, it can't come as a surprise that the Atlanta defense was just cooked.
They were.
At the end. They had nothing left.
They didn't. And that was talk about the Atlanta defense. And we talked about, they gotten better, but they're still not that great of a unit. They're secondary. They have to get a pass rush. Yada, and I kept saying Vic Beasley, even though it really wasn't him. It was who was the other guy?
Freeney?
No, not Freeney. Blank on the name. I'll remember. But just I thought I was watching the Seattle Seahawks defense in this game. That's how good. I mean, it really reminded me of the Seahawks defense. They were flying to the ball. They were energetic. They were ferocious, getting after Brady, getting after him, stunts, running, stunts really throughout the whole game, which New England would later adjust to, which we'll get to. But, they were getting after Brady. Brady couldn't step into throws because they were getting pressure up the middle. We were watching a borderline dominant performance by the Atlanta Falcon defense. And I was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. I can't believe they're playing this well. What a great game plan, the way they're executing it. And then the second half, aided by some horrible, horrible, horrible coaching decisions and decisions by the players on the field, the Atlanta defense wore down. They had nothing left by the end of the game. And then Brady, once he had time, he was able to step up into a clean pocket. That's when he started picking them apart. But they were, like you said, they were cooked. They were gassed at the end of the game because they were on the field for so long. And
so what?
Like right. I said, that's a huge theme of the game. Huge theme.
It is. So what were the plays to you on Atlanta's part that I can think of one, but I want to hear it from you. The plays that were, the play calling or the decisions by players on the field that facilitated this 31 unanswered point comeback.
Well, starting at 28-3 in the third quarter, and the Pats finally start to move the ball again. Atlanta's not getting as much pressure on Brady. They're still. Really, what they did the whole game was they kept running these stunts to try and get guys up the middle because they knew that they had to get pressure up the middle. They couldn't just come from the edges because if Brady has a clean pocket, he gets rid of the ball too quickly. He's going to step up and make his throws. You saw them start to not be able to get to him with regularity. Why? Because Belichick is the master at in-game adjustments, and this is a testament to him as a coach. You saw that the offensive line started to change up their protections, and they could not get to Brady nearly as often as they were in the first half. Atlanta, however, so the Pats start to move the ball. They convert on a 4th and 3 at 28-3. Amendola makes how many big catches in this game? That was the first one, and then Brady converts on a 3rd and 8, running 15 yards, and they would eventually score. Then they go for an onside kick, which I'll admit I thought was too early. And then Atlanta recovers. Now, this was one of the biggest moments of the game because if Atlanta scores on this drive, they score a touchdown, forget it, game's over. Even if they kick a field goal, the game is probably over. They don't score because the Pat defense makes a huge stand, which culminated on a 3rd down sack by Trey Flowers. What a tremendous game. And on that drive, Atlanta takes one of their ill-conceived timeouts due to confusion. And it was funny. I thought of a Simpsons quote when Principal Skinner says, "And the bake sale to raise money for the car wash has been canceled due to confusion." And that's exactly what I like. You look at Matt Ryan when he calls a timeout, like they had no idea what was going on. And as soon as he did that, I know it was up. They were up in the game, but I hate when teams blow timeouts in the second half, on something stupid like that. Waste a play, especially if you're up. Those second half timeouts are such a commodity. So that was one of the first issues with Atlanta. But all right, that's not a big deal. If you do what you need to do, you can overcome that, obviously. But the hold there by the Pats, and then the Pats drive. They kick a field goal, which really, the Pats were kind of demoralized after that field goal to put them up to make it 28-12 because they were driving and then they were stalled. They were stopped by 2 sacks by Atlanta on that drive. But all right, whatever. 28-12. Atlanta gets the ball back. Now we're in the fourth quarter. It's fourth quarter now. 8.5 minutes to go. This is, to me, one of the biggest plays in Super Bowl history in terms of the magnitude and leading the Patriots on their comeback, and catapulting them on their comeback, and really just how poorly ill-conceived the decision was by the coaching staff to pass instead of run, and the execution by everybody involved. So 3rd and 1, they have to run the ball here. They have to run the ball. It's obvious it's as no-brainer of a decision as you can possibly have, right? Well, no, they decide they're going to pass the ball, even though Freeman had been killing them on the edges all night. So, Ryan, out of the shotgun, Devontae Freeman, he's lined up in a spot where they don't even give the illusion that they're going to be running the ball there. And the Pats know that they have to make a play because even if they don't convert there, they have to punt. And, the Pats are going to get the ball with 8 minutes to go, and they still have to score two touchdowns, and they have to come the length of the field essentially after they punt. And so the
and get
Pats know
two-point conversions.
right. And so they know that they have to make a play here. And Hightower, you could see him, lined up at the, on the line there, and you could know that he was going to make a beeline to Ryan because he knew that they were not running the ball there the way that they were lined up in their formation. And then Freeman makes one of the stupidest decisions that you could ever make as a player in that spot. He leaves. He's about to run a route. He takes the snap, Ryan, and Freeman is looking to run a route and leave his quarterback completely unprotected. He then sees Hightower making a beeline, and he tries to, recompose himself and block him. He can't. Hightower now sacks Ryan, balls out, recovered by the Pats. And now the Pats are infused with all this new energy, this renounced sense of life, that they actually have a chance. And to me, that was the ultimate turning point, catalyst for the Patriots. And that's going to go down. It really is one of the biggest plays in Super Bowl history. Just the boneheaded decision not to run it, the even stupider decision alive in a formation where the Pats knew you were not running the ball, instead of at least making them guess whether you're going to run an inside handoff or a draw or something.
And I was equally dumbfounded. I don't know if the Falcons had a single running play that went for negative yardage up to that point. I mean, they were gaining chunk yardage.
Yeah, on the edge, killing them all game.
It was. It really was. I think it was cockiness from Kyle Shanahan.
I agree.
Saying we have won games turning the ball around and finding the open man. We're going to stick to that. And well,
you know what?
He got outsmarted.
Yeah. You know what I think it was also? You said cockiness. I think it was also arrogance, and I think they wanted to stick it to the Pats. You know why? Remember, Dan Quinn was on that staff with Pete Carroll in Seattle when they, a couple of years ago when they lost, obviously they didn't hand the ball off to Lynch and the interception, game over. And I think Quinn really wanted to stick it to the Pats. I'm not basing that really on anything. I think that was part of it because the way they call, and even his post game afterwards, it was still like this. Hey, that's how we play. I'm not going to apologize. That's how we play. That's what we're supposed. That's what we do. Basically saying we'd rather win this way than winning the way that football 101 football for dummies in bold capital letters says this is what you do in this spot. And so, I mean, now they're, just reinvigorated. They scored a touchdown, short field score, 28-20. All right. Not a big deal. You learn, you say, all right, we screwed up by not running the ball there. We're not going to make the mistake again, right? Well, stay tuned, folks. Now, Julio Jones, who was only targeted, I guess, 4 times in the game and caught every ball. And it seemed like every catch was more spectacular than the last.
I mean, every catch that he made in this game was just otherworldly.
Is he? I mean, if there was any doubt that, and I know Brown's great, we Beckham, whatever. Julio Jones, the best receiver in the sport.
I mean, Matt Ryan put the ball in like the tightest of windows, like when there was nowhere there was really no reason to throw the ball to Julio Jones, but somehow he figured out how to put it just above the defender, but right before Julio Jones would go out of bounds. And, and then he gets his feet in the most acrobatic way. Pretty incredible stuff.
Oh my God. I mean, you're just marveling at the magnificence, just the sheer athleticism. I mean, that should go down as and it still is one of the great catches in Super Bowl history, but that should have been the catch that sealed the game. And you would even saw on the sideline, Belichick, he's going crazy. He's yelling, and because they knew the game was over. I read one of the Atlanta newspapers. I was curious to see their take, and they, had like that, like when they put the period after each word, like and they wrote this after the Jones catch, the game was over, because now they're in field goal range. And look, they should have been throwing the ball there anyway, but whatever. You set yourself up. You're in field goal range. The game is over. You run the ball into the line 3 times, kick a field goal. The game is over. Now they're using their timeouts. They're not going to have, they're going to be down by 2 scores. Not going to have timeouts. They're going to have to come down the field, onside kick. I mean, the game was over. That was it. You had it in the bag, and then you said, you know what? We want to rub it in their faces. And at least that's the way I took it. And now we're going to have Matt Ryan on second down drop back to pass. What happens? His center, who has a broken leg, Alex Mack, who's playing the game with a broken leg, a hairline fracture in his leg, gets overpowered by Flowers again, sacks Ryan, who, and again, obviously just brain dead decision to throw the ball there. But Ryan, you've got to have more awareness and get rid of the ball. You can't take a sack there. Takes the sack, a penalty, pushes him back even farther. Now, guy goes out of bounds, the incomplete pass. Now, all of a sudden, they're out of field goal range and they have to punt. But what's even worse is that after the game, and Kyle Shanahan, I put more of this again on the head coach. The head coach makes a decision there as to what they're doing, passing, running. But Kyle Shanahan was quoted after the game as saying it was not an easy field goal, meaning when they were after the Jones catch. It was not an easy field goal. What? Your kicker had missed one field goal all year inside 50 yards.
Matt Bryant was sick all season long, even at 41 years old or whatever he is. He had probably the best year of his entire career.
What's funny is also Matt Bryant now was part of the giant collapse in 2002. I think you remember that against the 49ers in the wild card game. That was also, I think, 25 points or something like that. So how about that? Matt Bryant now is a part of this collapse and that giant collapse. So, so a footnote in history of collapses and, all-time NFL playoff collapses. But yeah, one field goal missed all year. Just a 10% chance he misses the field goal there. But maybe you even get the first down. If you do, you kneel on the ball and the game is over. If you get the first down, if you don't, he probably makes the field goal. You take your chances with that. Instead,
they were I don't know what game, but it had to be good. I mean, they ran the ball really well all game. Yeah. Which was and that was something that we talked about last week. Is not just Julio Jones, but all these other weapons, and they were running the ball well.
All on display in this game. All of them were making plays. Gabriel and Jones and Freeman. I mean, they were all making plays. And you're right. They were killing him on the edge all night. Freeman got to the edge. He was agile. He was fast. He was quick. I mean, they couldn't tackle him. He was making spin moves and jukes and all of it. And instead,
Coleman was 7 carries, 29 yards. So that's nothing spectacular. It's not terrible, but a little over 4 yards to carry.
Freeman had 11 for 74 or 5, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and then so now they're kicking the ball back to New England. The defense is shot. They got nothing left. Down the field, Edelman obviously with one of the great catches ever. The ball hanging up there, deflected, and how does he hang on?
But you make a note here, and this was something that made absolutely no sense. Why they challenged this play?
Oh yeah,
that was sense.
I get a timeout now.
Oh my God! Why did they challenge it?
Praying to the football gods that the
it's just a hunch.
We have not. Well, I mean, why not? It was like, why not? We might as well. No, they're driving the ball on your defense. You almost know they're going to score. You want that timeout to get the ball back with time to maybe get in field goal range. You have to have that foresight as a head coach. You can't be stupid like that. Oh, you're right. Terrible decision to challenge that ball, that catch. Terrible. So now here they come. Brady,
I mean, to the naked eye. Yeah, look, to the naked eye, it might be like, oh my God, there's no way that he caught that. But you don't what? In those kinds of moments, you don't necessarily challenge based on the naked eye. I mean, you have people in the booth, presumably at the Super Bowl, who can hit rewind in 3 seconds and the coach and say, I think you got it. I don't think you should challenge it. I don't know how the inner workings of the coaching staffs play out in that regard, but you would think they have that option.
Yeah, I mean, they probably told them like, "Hey, this is a catch. Whatever the hell you want to do, you shouldn't challenge this because it's a catch." Well, maybe they'll see something else. Maybe we'll get lucky. They'll go, "Oh, that may have hit the ground, so we're going to overturn it." Who the hell knows what the hell was going through his mind there? But I mean, you knew that they were going to score. Here they come, bink, bink, bink. Edelman wow, help me out here. Amendola.
What are you
Jeez.
blinking on what?
Edelman and Amendola, and making catches, and White who had a zillion catches in the game, and and finally, they put the ball in the, White puts the ball in the end zone, second score of the game, I guess, before the last one, and then the 2-point conversion, convert again. I think that was Edelman, right? And you couldn't actually tell initially, and they showed I think one replay, but I guess he did get in. So tie game now. Everybody's just like stunned disbelief. What the hell just happened? How did this happen? As the Atlanta defense was just panting and huffing and puffing with their tongues hanging out of their mouths.
Yeah.
And they get the ball back now with 52 seconds to go. And if they would have just been a little bit better with their managing of the timeouts, maybe they have at least one instead. And they still should have been aggressive here. They're not. A couple dump off passes.
Not at all. Yeah, I'm like, what is he doing? Why are you even throwing it 3 yards down the field? I mean, what does that gain you? Again, I'm like, this team just on every facet, the Atlanta Falcons just disappeared. And after they scored that first touchdown in the second half, it's just so mind-boggling.
Yeah, Ryan really shrunk. I think the stage was too big for him, and he really shrunk. I mean, look, is he the biggest culprit here? Absolutely not. The culprits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the head coach. And
I know we say it's easy to say the stage shrunk for the guy, but I mean, he did get his team out to a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl. It's not like he came out and he was rattled. He looked good right from the start. He was fine, making plays.
Well, he shrunk really at the end of the game there. I mean, your receivers are running wild. I mean, Jones is catching everything thrown to him. You got to try and get in the field goal range there. My God. Because you know that you're then counting on a coin flip. Because if they don't win the coin flip, everybody on the planet knows that the Patriots are going to take the ball and score. How they do not try and move the ball and get in the field goal range there is beyond me. Beyond me. But of course they don't. They don't do anything. The quarter ends. To overtime we go. Coin flip. Patriots win the toss. They get the ball, and then it was just like inevitable. And that's what. Yep. And for me, it was such an anticlimactic ending for me. I don't know if you felt the same way. I just thought there was really no drama. We were just watching the Patriots go down the field, and then the pass interference, which, a little ticky-tacky, especially considering that it decided a Super Bowl in overtime, first overtime ever in the Super Bowl, but whatever. You knew they were scoring regardless. And White, he barely gets in the end zone, and then hey, we won! Yay! Everybody rushed the field, and Brady's like, don't get away from me. Who the hell knows what was going through?
Yeah, you see Chris Myers trying to fight. You see Chris Myers trying to getting shoved away by the bodyguard as he was trying to interview him. Within a minute after, Chris Myers was literally like getting mosh pitted, and getting or sandwiched like he was getting crushed in the aftermath.
Poor Chris Myers.
But that's. Yeah, poor Chris Myers, right? That's
nature of the
beast. That's the life he signed up for, exactly. Yep.
But just so anticlimactic. I mean, really lacked any drama at the end there, and it's unbelievable considering that this was, obviously a great finish in the overtime. And I will also say it's a shame that Matt Ryan at least couldn't get the ball back in overtime. It is a little cheap, I think. I don't really know what they can do other than playing a 15-minute quarter. But then if the game is tied, then what do you do? You have him just play on, and I don't know what the answer is there. It just stunk that Ryan couldn't get on. That the Atlanta offense couldn't get on the field there. I mean, maybe can
I just acknowledge something here?
Yes.
I think you've taken a step up in that comment, because in the past in a lot of episodes,
right,
you would merely vent your frustration about a certain rule, and leave it at that. And you would just say this would suck, and I would challenge you and say, all right, fine, you're pissed off about this, but what do you propose is going to be better, right? And we talk about it. In this instance, in stream of consciousness,
we don't know.
You acknowledge
really what can you do?
Yes,
because I said that.
Yes, exactly.
How about the 15-minute quarter? How about both offenses get the ball, and if the first offense scores, the next offense then has to score. If they score a touchdown, next offense has to score a touchdown, or the game's over. If they score, now it's sudden death. Because I thought that was such an anticlimactic ending. I thought it lacked,
that's not a bad idea. Why not just change it from
Super Bowl only then?
Touchdown, you win. No, instead of changing it from touchdown, you win, or field goal, and the other team has the opportunity to tie or score a touchdown. Just make it whatever the first team does in terms of points. The opposing team has to either tie or better it. If they better it, they win.
Right.
If they tie it, then they repeat it.
Right.
They repeat it. Or if they don't score, then they lose, and they just keep doing it that way. Why? I mean, I don't really see why you can't. Why you can't try overtime that way?
Yeah, I guess essentially it's like a little more of an extension of the college system, which I'm not a fan of the college system either, because just give them the ball at the 25-yard line, whatever. Here you still kick off, and there's special teams, and if you score a special teams touchdown, well, the other team then has to score. So at least give it just, to me, it cheapened it. It really, really did. I thought it lacked any drama. That should have been like one of the most dramatic endings ever, and it wasn't. Barely gets in the end zone. Yay, we win. Everybody storms the field. La la la. Whoop de doo. Chris Myers gets trampled.
It was 30. Look, it was a 31-point unanswered comeback. So it was such a weird. I mean, you say the game was great because it was the first overtime game in Super Bowl history.
The ending, it was just the comeback part was great. The Atlanta screw-ups and the tying of the game, that was all great. It wasn't a great game because the first part of the game I thought was, it was a blowout.
But still, it didn't have an element of back and forth to this game. That's the part that makes, to me, those are the most compelling football games.
Oh, I agree, and we thought it would be. I thought, I predicted the Pats, you predicted the Falcons, but we thought it would be pretty close.
On a higher level, you could say it was back and forth, but just once. Instead of back and forth.
Yeah. The pendulum swings one way and then back the other way, and here comes.
I mean, that's really all it was.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to
five Super Bowl championships.
Let there be no confusion as to who the GOAT's greatest of all time is. The greatest, and after this performance in the Super Bowl, this performance was so remarkable. The greatest of all time, obviously, it's Lady Gaga. Wow, Lady Gaga, that halftime show, woo, amazing. Greatest of all time, no debates. Don't anybody dare suggest otherwise, that it's Taylor Swift or Beyonce. No, Lady Gaga.
Janet Jackson with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah,
Can't forget that one.
Yeah, maybe that is the greatest of all time. But Tom and Bill, they have their 5, and the Twitters immediately blew up with Brady's the greatest ever. And Monty Schmidt, I sent the Twitter back to Monty Schmidt. I said, Manish, I like you a lot. You're a really good. He's like sent out like 4 different Twitters. The best player of all time, best quarterback, best player of all time. Amazing. Did you watch the game? Yes, Brady. The Pats never stopped fighting. They hung in there. Just a magnificent job by Brady to, bring his team down the field at the end of the game and tie. But you have to acknowledge that they shouldn't have any business having a chance to even tie the game. I mean, you got to acknowledge and understand. I know it's a celebration in the winner, and oh my God, what an amazing comeback. But it was even more so an epic collapse of proportions that we will never, ever see again. I can say that with, I think, 99.99999% certainty. That's, to me, what it was. A choke job of epic proportions. Brady, Belichick, you stand alone. You stand alone now in history. 5, Super Bowl championships. Of course, if Marshawn Lynch gets the ball in the Seattle game and then Atlanta doesn't blow this one, maybe it's you're 3 and 4. But hey, you won. You're 5 and 2. Congratulations, a fantastic, a remarkable achievement. And Belichick, in many people's eyes, the best coach of all time. And now many people will say that Tom Brady's the best of all time, but it's just like the ridiculousness of saying that, he's the best of all time. How dare anybody suggest otherwise? No debate. Best of all time. Don't you dare say that anybody else is better. Well, I'll beg
mentioning. Did you mention 5 and 2 for an opening to call out another team that might agree with you about your assessment of Tom Brady?
Well, you mean what, 5-2, the Giants? Because the Giants beat them twice.
Yes, yes, Timothy, yes.
I see. Well, I mean, well, so yeah, well, they would be 7-0 if not for my Giants, indeed. My Giants beat them twice, and because they beat them twice, they are blemished in the Super Bowl. The B&B boys, and they will always have those blemishes. Just think if the Giants would have gotten there this year, they would have got past.
I know.
And then they probably beat Dallas. Maybe Atlanta they have some trouble with, but maybe they get to the Super Bowl and they can knock off the Pats again. That would have been wonderful. Oh, well.
I mean, certainly the Giants would have given the Patriots a lot more trouble for moving the football than Atlanta did. Although Atlanta looked great in the first. The same token, the Giants would not have scored as many points. So
yeah, just remember this also. The Giants in that first Super Bowl, the undefeated Pats, the Giants, as much as they got after Brady all game long, when the Pats took the lead, they moved the ball down the field like the Giants were standing still. Why? Because their pass rush disintegrated. They were tired at the end of the game. They were getting after Brady all game, and they tired themselves out. They couldn't get after him on that drive. And what happened? Down the field they go. But in this instance, the Giants were able to get the ball back with more time, and Eli did his thing in the Tyree catch, which, of course, is being compared to the Edelman catch. But down the field, the Giants come, and they, of course, Burris alone, touchdown, and then Super Bowl over, undefeated season over, and yes, very sweet victory, man, one of the sweetest victories I've experienced ever as a sports fan. But if people want to suggest or say that Brady's the best ever, you can make the argument that he is the best ever. I don't take umbrage with that. But to say that there's no way that anybody else is better, and how dare anybody else suggest anybody is better, is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I mean, he is behind. Like, again, just whatever your criteria is. If you want to just put it at Super Bowls, and you just want to say everything else doesn't matter, it's only Super Bowls, and you want to do it that way, that's fine. And I guess that means that Dan Marino is tied with Geno Smith, right? I mean, like, come on. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's whatever your perspective is, whatever criteria you use, completely subjective.
All right. You'll give him top 5 at least.
Oh, look, he is one of the best of all time. Absolutely. And if you want to tell me that he's the best of all time, here's why, that's fine. I'll listen. I'm not saying you're wrong or you're ridiculous. But again, to say that there's no debate anymore that he's the best, I think is a little ridiculous. And you can't just say because now he has 5 Super Bowls and that's it. I mean, what about everything else? The other stats. And again, it's just you're comparing generations too, where it was just a different period. You go back to guys like Sammy Baugh and Otto Graham and Johnny Unitas, and then through Dan Fouts and Marino and all. Again, it's just a different time, different generation. And it's just difficult to compare. We all love to do it because that's what we all love sports, is comparing that generation.
And we've talked about that aspect of comparing players amongst different generations. And I agree. I want to disagree to make it more interesting, but
but that's the debate. The debate part is fun. To say there's no debate anymore, drop it and shut up. Okay, now it's not fun. You shut up.
But maybe they're just intentionally being authoritative about it, just to piss off people like the Lip.
Well, maybe maybe if you impugn somebody's character and you violate Rule 19, then you actually do get silenced. How dare you break Rule 19? You impugn Tom Brady. You can't say anything anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Right. I would normally think to myself that, why are you going there? But, it's all these elements of politics today. There's just endless
little humor. Incorporate a little.
But there's so many different. It's like it's just nonstop and forever. Not forever, but there's always something new. There's like multiple things new each day as we're in the first 100 days of this presidency, that we can't help but incorporate them. So I appreciate the continued effort in that regard.
Well, the question is, what's the bigger circus, the Trump administration or the Knicks? That's the question. Well, I just want to say also in the NFL, we'll get to the next, but the NFL was very upset that their ratings was only, so I guess there was 111 million people was the official number that watched the game. I just wanted to get this in. So the NFL had to make sure to tell us. They had to make sure to tell us that the real number is 172 million, because 111 or whatever the official number was like I saw like 111, 113. It doesn't factor in the bars and restaurants and those group settings. So the unique audience is 172. Thanks, NFL. God, I can sleep better tonight knowing that. So thank you.
How did that come out? I did not see that. How did they go about revealing that information?
Yeah, the lowest rating in 3 years or so, whatever, and so that was the official number. Like the NFL should be so worried. Oh, only 111 million people. Oh my God. Oh, wait a minute. We could tell everybody that the number was so much higher, just in case people start questioning whether or not there's a problem with our product, or maybe we're on the way down, and blah, 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 blah. So thank you, NFL. Thank you for telling us that. Wonderful. And of course, the awkwardness at the end of the game. Everybody had to make sure we saw the Brady Goodell and Goodell getting booed. Well, I will say I did enjoy Goodell getting booed, since I despise the man. But of course, it was only booing because of the Deflategate nonsense, which I could care less about. I would boo him for several other reasons, not Deflategate, but it was still nice to boo him. Now it seems like he's getting the Gary Bettman treatment. Wherever he goes, whenever he speaks, whenever he's amongst the crowd, boo, boo. So
and he falls asleep. And he falls asleep.
We'll get to that.
It's interesting though. Over the last few days, we've had at least 3 Patriots say that they will not go to the White House.
I know, amazing. Already, I couldn't waste any time. Bennett said it after the game, and a few other guys.
Hightower said it.
Hightower.
Yeah, I forgot.
I know Bennett said it right after the game, and maybe one of their corners or something said it. But they didn't waste any time. I mean, they don't go for another 3 months, 4, whatever it is, and already. Oh, I'm not going. Amazing.
I know there's been an expected time frame of championship to White House visit, but with this administration, it could be a different expectation.
Yeah, and actually,
so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I actually we've never done this before, but we, Hip and a Lip, got a Twitter question. Someone sent us a Twitter question. The question is, it relates to what we were just saying. Tom Brady has skipped White House trips under Obama, I guess, to protest Obama. And of course, we know he's buddies with Trump. So the question is, do we think that a double standard will be applied this year? Very interesting question. So yes, Mr. Tom Brady, you skipped the White House visit in the past. So Mr. Tom Brady, are you going to be going this year? Because you approve of the man in the White House.
Well, apparently he skipped it due to a family visit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh, it's that weekend. That's when we're going. Oh, I already planned it to go to the shore, the Martha's Vineyard with Giselle and everything. Oh yes, I'm sure, Tom. Thanks. Of course, we had to see Giselle. I guess she was like 7 martinis in when you saw her at the end of the game after they scored, and she's doing her selfie. Yeah, that was a very charming picture there, Giselle. Thanks.
I mean, come on, I think that's allowed.
Well, I don't care. No, I don't care. Yeah, no, I don't care. It was funny. I was laughing at her. I thought it was just. I was like, look at her. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. All right. I think we're over this, but look, we've the 2016-17 NFL season
has concluded
come to a close.
Mercifully.
Yes.
Fabulous season.
Yes,
it was.
Quite far from it, as we've pointed out countless times, but it did culminate with I would say a compelling game with some records broken and tons of drama and excitement. Maybe like you said at the end, it didn't have the drama that we were hoping for, but I mean, with the team up 28-3 in the early third quarter and that team losing is pretty incredible drama onto itself for a Super Bowl game. And
I agree. And how about
the villain?
Tom Brady doing 62 passes? My God, jeez.
the perceived and over 400 yards, and the perceived villain, down by all those points, eventually coming all the way back. So it's in the books, and we put the season in the books, and
we put the bow tie future on the season.
The future, couple of months with the NFL will probably be pretty light on this show, aside from something crazy like the Jets trading up to get a quarterback that they shouldn't, or I don't know.
Or how about Manish with an article saying the Jets should tank a whole season so
I saw that.
In case USC quarterback decides he's going to come out, that they can get him. Oh my God, Manish.
I saw that.
Again, I like Manish.
I'm like, what is he?
But what is he talking about? What are you doing? Are you that desperate to sell papers? You'll write something that absurd?
No, you know what? Yeah, but you know what? If he had an NFL GM job like that, this is the thing. If you ask him, look, if you're the GM of the Jets, would you actually do this? And like he would say yes because he's not. But if he's actually in that position, there's no way.
No, of course.
There's no way. That's the thing.
We need a story. Make something up.
It's easy to be on the outside and make bold claims and to get clicks and get people reading and thinking and riled up. The reality is, if you're the Jets GM, you're simply not doing that. That is like the stupidest thing that you can pretty much do. I mean,
absurd. That is.
I don't care how bad your quarterback situation is,
or who the guy is,
because the Jets GM will lose his or her job. Point to take a player probably if you tank another season.
Tank a full season. I mean, come on. This is competitive professional sports. You're playing to win. Of course, the Atlanta, coach, didn't think it was so important just to play to win. It was to play to pile up more yards and points and embarrass the opponent and win that way. We don't want to win, the way that every single football for dummies and football 101 tells you what to do. But Dan Quinn, if you're not sick of that, if you think that you did the right, because everything he said after, it makes it seem like he really learned no lessons and he feels like everything he did was right. If you think that I don't care how many Super Bowls you're gonna go to. If you're the owner and you hear that, you're probably like, what? You're my head coach. I don't care. You just look at the Super Bowl. I should fire you right now. That's why Belichick
was that in the press conference immediately after the game?
I was surprised. I mean, he had a press conference and then he's been interviewed. So I was surprised at his demeanor with Aaron Andrews after, immediately after, they do the losing coach, here he is. And, you're basically getting like the most like pure organic reaction because, you don't have time to really think about, especially after something like that. I mean, he had to be just like numb. And you would have thought that he would have just been like grunting answers and just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. Just kind of like just completely like despondent and barely able to get out answers. Instead, he was like, I thought we weren't aggressive enough. I think that was his exact words. We weren't aggressive enough. And like, he's just talking like, hey, like you didn't just completely choke away the Super Bowl and like, we'll get him next year. We'll be back. And like, how are you like in good spirits? You just choked away the game that was in your back pocket. And I was amazed. I thought maybe he was just like in shock, like post-traumatic shock, and he didn't know what the hell he was saying or doing. But apparently he really felt that he did everything right, and we just didn't execute. We didn't execute. They sacked the
maybe that's what he said, but maybe that's not what he believes. Who
knows? Who knows? He has a lot to learn now.
We're asking about what's a bigger joke, with one of those two being the New York Knicks franchise right now. So The day after the Super Bowl, the night after the Super Bowl, the Knicks get blown out essentially at home by the Lakers, who are not a good team this year.
Ooh.
And
no show.
Just a complete disaster of a game.
Disgrace.
Just a complete disaster of a game.
No
and
effort.
Then tonight, a follow-up game hosting the
Clippers. Yep. Well, we seem to have lost Mr. Hip there, so I will continue. But as he was saying, Mr. Hip, you're with us?
I am.
Okay, I thought we lost you. I was just saying that that they lost to the Clippers this evening. The other LA team, the halfway decent one, I guess they put up a little more of a fight in this one. And they did lose, though, right?
They did lose, and
Right.
what was, I think, the bigger story in this game somehow was a former Knick getting
Yeah, Charles
kicked
Oakley.
out
Charles
of
Oakley.
Madison Square Garden, like dragged out, I should say, dragged out of Madison Square Garden, shoving members of the Knicks security staff, and just screaming and looking, beyond any level of emotional sanity. And just a really sad story right there. And apparently just sitting in a jail cell right now. I'm not sure exactly, but was taken to jail. And, part of me was thinking maybe this guy's doing it to create a distraction of what's going on the court with this franchise right now, because they've just been like hideous. But the reality is I don't think so, because Charles Oakley has been like disinvited or not invited to any like Knicks things in general. So I don't think I think that was raw and honest emotion. But yes, the Knicks lost again, and I think they're 12th in the conference now, and 9 or 10 games under. I mean,
the season's over. I mean, just forget it. I don't care where they are, how many games out. Oh, we have it. Stop it. Just if they can somehow get rid of everybody, that includes Phil, who I think maybe the second most egomaniacal. I don't know if I've said this before on the show, but really is just like the second most egomaniacal person on the planet after our current president, who is unlike our president, who has to Twitter everything that comes to his head. He just will say nothing. I mean, he actually, I think, has more security than Donald Trump. I mean, you can never get near him. He has like his own secret service that surrounds him, so you can never even get remotely close to Phil. And, he's just this almost like completely indifferent, like he doesn't give a damn about the team and just wants out. And just like that blind, just egomaniacal, like megalomaniac maniacal attitude that he has towards like everybody and anything that has to do with basketball. I'm the Zen master. Don't you dare question a thing that I say. I'm the Zen. I'm the guy with 11 rings. And it's unbelievable. And he sends out this ridiculous cryptic Twitter that nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. And it was the only thing that it was an obvious veiled shot at Carmelo, because it was an article that came out in Bleacher Report or something about him. But I mean, just blow it up. If you can get something of decent value in return for Carmelo, do it, and he agrees to it. Get rid of Rose. I know he is a free agent anyway, but get rid of him and just build and put together Porzingis and build around him and call it a day. That's it.
I know, but who are you building him around with?
Just blow it up. I mean, honestly, and you always hear this, how Knicks fans and New York fans are not patient. I honestly think that at this point, Knicks fans would say, all right, we'll deal with a couple of bad seasons. You bring in a new GM, a young assistant GM. So I don't know who that guy is, but, just a guy that's qualified, that, will be here for the long term, because we know that's not Phil. And just bring in that guy, whoever he is, let him build it from the ground up. You have Porzingis. You have a piece in place that could be a guy that could be your superstar that you build around. You have a couple other guys on the team right now, Willie Gomez and Hernan Gomez, and a couple other guys that could be serviceable bench players. But just get rid of everybody else. This team is a circus. They're a joke. They're an embarrassment, and it's just tough to watch right now.
You think Porzingis? You know what? You know what's interesting? Your point about there's a couple of things I want to add here, but you said you think the Knicks fans can be patient for a couple of years. You know what? You know what's kind of telling in that regard? I didn't really hear many watching this game. Like, the fans should have been booing. Maybe because it was high scoring and it was a close game, but I don't know about the Laker game. I don't know if there was booing there.
Oh. Well, I think apathy definitely said it, because they were booing in the beginning, and they were like, you know what? Why even bother wasting our breath? We just don't care. You don't care. We don't care. Screw you.
Right. I think that's the sentiment, which goes to your point. The other thing is, completely unrelated question.
Yes.
Can Porzingis be even remotely close to as good as Blake Griffin is right now?
I think he could be better than. I'm not a huge Blake Griffin fan. I'll be honest, but I mean, I think that Porzingis could be better than Blake Griffin. I think, yeah. I mean, once he learns how to play defense, once he learns the nuances of the game, he learns how to play inside because he is 7'3". He bolts up. He could be a guy. He could be like a Nowitzki. He could be a Dirk Nowitzki. I think he's that talented. I think he has that much ability. I really do. But they have to put it back together and rebuild up his confidence.
He has a good outside shot. I mean, there's no question about it.
He does, but he has to develop an inside game. He has to, keep putting on strength and weight, and learn how to
he's too lanky, and he's lanky because he's young. I mean, he's 21 years old.
He'll build,
which is normal if you're 7'3". I mean, you're going to be lanky.
Yeah, sure.
Like Sean Bradley. He turned out.
Sean Bradley. George Mirasan.
All right. Well,
Minute Bowl.
Let's
may have had the skinniest calves of all time.
Let's do our obligatory Islanders recap here. So, this team is now technically in the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference.
Big game tomorrow, Flyers.
So they're 3 points out of the 8th spot, which I believe is occupied by the Flyers.
Yep.
And the Islanders do have a few games in hand. At the same time, if you look at the entire conference, every single team behind the Islanders, so the 11th through 16th team in the conference, only have 2 points at most fewer than the Islanders. So the Islanders, I think, have 56, and the fewest points in the conference is 54. So it's not like there's just so much parity. In this conference that you have to outperform so many more teams. We talked about this a show or two ago, that they still have to outperform so many more teams to make the playoffs, but they are in it. And look, they lost a couple of close games. We talked about their win over Washington and how good they looked. That was the pre-Super Bowl show. But since then, they lost to Detroit 5-4. Close game, tough one that they just gave up at the end. They lost in overtime, hosting Carolina.
Yep.
And then just the other night, they had a nice comeback win in overtime against the Maple Leafs.
Yep.
But
yeah, I mean, they're showing a little resilience.
Where do you what's the temperature on this team?
But yeah, I mean, they're definitely, like we've said, they're playing better. We'll get more into them as the weeks go on, since we can focus now more on the Islanders and as we move away from football. And I know Pitchers and Catchers is coming up because of the World Baseball Classic, so it's earlier this year. Oh my God, I can't contain my excitement. But we'll get more into the Islanders. And but here's the thing that's now the chatter on the Islander message boards is that Claude Julien was just fired by the Boston Bruins. Claude Julien, who has a resume, who has won, who has had a lot of success, he would be the perfect guy for the Islanders to bring in. The question is, is Julien looking to take a job immediately? Will other teams pursue him now? Could Colorado conceivably fire? They can break. St. Louis just fired their coach Hitchcock, even though Yo was supposed to be the guy. But Claude Julien is available, and I think he would be the perfect guy to take over the Islanders as head coach. I don't want Garth Snow there, but again, I want him out still. But that's the question. Will they even entertain this in the middle of the year? Do they just wait till the end of the year, see how Wade does? Does Wade even want the job? He's intimated that he may not want it. So we'll see how that plays out. But we've been talking about Claude Julien potentially getting fired, it seems like now, since last year. Finally, this shoe drops. He's out there.
Have you ever seen a team? Have you ever seen a team hire mid-season a coach who was just fired?
Trying to think, that it happened last year. Yeah, I think it may have actually happened last year. I'm trying to remember now.
But I mean, it just seems I don't know. It seems hasty.
Well, look, I'm not saying that they should hire him tomorrow, but he is a guy that you have to absolutely consider. The guy has a very.
But if you're not hiring tomorrow, you're not hiring him a week before the season ends. So it's either now or. in the offseason.
I have a feeling that Julian will probably want to take off the rest of the season anyway. I don't think he's going to want to jump back into it. So, if he's there at the end of the season, and, we'll see how it plays out, how Waite does, and if Waite wants it. And, Waite may want to go up into the front office. I mean, maybe they'll, when they reshuffle the front office at the end of the year, and hopefully there will be a reshuffling, maybe Waite will want to do that and just, leave, just go out from behind the bench. But Julian is a guy that can walk in and with a commanding presence and say, I've won. You're going to listen to me, and we're going to put in a system that maximizes the abilities of our players, and we're going to go out and win. And because he's won, he can walk into a locker room and do that. And this team has craved this. They have needed this for so long, and Capuano was never that guy. That guy now is out there and available. Hitchcock, I think, is too old. Hitchcock is 1-2. He's an even more extensive resume, but he's kind of up there now. I don't know if he's the right guy. I think Julian would be the perfect guy.
I heard that Capuano was meeting with the executives of the Las Vegas hockey team.
Yeah, well, because McPhee is there, so I guess it makes sense. Hey, look, if he gets another head coaching job, wonderful. I'm sure they'll probably good for him.
Yeah. All right.
I think they should know his limitations and shortcomings, but hey, if he gets the job, good for him, and I'm sure they'll pluck an Islander or two at the expansion draft, which we'll have to talk about more in the coming episodes because that's very much a topic right now all around the league. How our team's going to approach this trade deadline, and what are they going to do knowing that the expansion draft is coming up and they're going to be losing players. So interesting stuff.
It's creeping up the CNN headline ticker. I'm sure.
And I'm sure that those that are going to the White House to ask Sean Spicer about it, get out of here. You owe me an apology with CNN. Get out of here. You owe me an apology. And for those who haven't seen the SNL skit, watch it. It's hysterical.
I haven't seen it. I have to watch it.
I heard
that Rosie O'Donnell may play Steve Bannon.
That'd be pretty I think.
It'd be pretty fitting.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty fitting if it actually came to fruition.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have any? HMOZ. Take it away.
All right. Yeah. So, this will be short, but watching the Islanders broadcast, and it seems like you saw this also the other night against Toronto, the NHL commissioner decided to take in an Islander game in Barclays Center. I wonder why. Is he on an Austin Matthews tour? Or is he there to talk about the Islanders' future at the Barclays Center? Speculation runs wild, but I guess either the meeting just, wore him out so much, or the game was just so exciting, or to him so boring that he dozed off in his seat, and the camera was on him, and he's sitting there literally asleep in his seat. Oh, look, it's NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. Looks like he needs his nap. Maybe he, got his warm bottle after the meeting with the Barclays contingent, and decided to, conk out there for a few minutes.
Look, I know that Mike Francesa falling asleep on the air while talking to Sweeney Murdo is more entertaining to you, but
it is.
Which is, I guess, NHL commissioner falling asleep at a hockey game may be more embarrassing, but I don't know.
That is hilarious. Oh, this is so boring. Oh my god.
It was a good game, though.
And it was an exciting game. It's not like he was watching a snoozer. If you went to any of the Islander home games early in the year, you probably would have fell asleep. And that's understandable. This game was actually pretty exciting, back and forth. What were you sleeping for?
Yeah. We're all easy to judge in life and take things from what we see at face value, but you don't know what's going on with Gary Bettman. Who knows what,
I can still laugh at him, though, because he's such a yutz.
Still laugh at him. Fair enough.
He's just like clueless. He just like, I don't know. He just comes across as just like completely clueless with things. I don't know. Whatever. Hilarious. And I was on the floor laughing because, you see him initially, think maybe he's just like batting, like just blinking. And you're like, he's sleeping. Look at him. The camera's on him. He's not opening his eyes. He's asleep.
The thing is, when people say they're on the floor laughing, you kind of picture them doing it, or maybe they're just laughing really loudly. You, though, would actually be on the – you would literally be rolling on the floor.
I probably –
I don't know. You would.
Well, I didn't fall on the floor, but I was on the – I leaned over on the couch. I fell over on the couch laughing. I couldn't just laugh upright because it was that funny.
So instead of ROFN, L.
Oh, yeah, rolling on the floor, laughing abbreviation. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yours would be a slight variation of that. All right.
Next.
All right.
Yeah, so that takes us from the hipster moment of Zenith to the our favorite segment, yours and mine and everybody's, the hipster beer of the week. And take it away, of course, Mr. Hip.
And you know, this one came. This beer came from you.
Well, from me, through me, from my roommates who was in the Boston area.
Well, take the credit for it. We shared this beer in the Poconos this past weekend.
Yes, we did. A little
I have seen this beer.
Getaway.
I don't know what you're trying to tell people. Just don't listen to what the lip says. Jesus. This is a brewery that I'm starting to see in Whole Foods and some beer distributors in the New York City metropolitan area.
Oh, really?
The brewery is called Night Shift. I hadn't seen this particular one. It's called One Hop This Time, and that's what the can says. And this is what was so interesting about it. So it says One Hop This Time on the can, and so I put it into Untapped, and I'm checking it in, and then I see there's like several different hops for One Hop This Time. There's Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, Azeka. You know the drill. You know all the hops, right? At this point,
probably not. I have heard you say them. Yes.
So I don't know if you remember this moment though, because we were a few beers deep at this point into the evening, but I was trying to figure out which one was this, and so very subtly print, and it can rest on the ledge in like a 45-degree angle. I don't know what. There's got to be a name for that part of a can. I don't know what it is, but the round part of the can where it's tilted. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No.
You can picture a can tilted. I mean, you can picture what I'm talking about at least. If it's tilted on its side.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And printed in that portion was the word Citra, revealing the hop that was used apparently. So the description is single hopped IPA with notes of fresh mango, pineapple, and citrus. Smooth, bitter finish. I thought it was good. I actually look forward to trying more Night Shift beers. I have seen them around, but I didn't dive in. So we'll see how that goes. They are located in Everett, Massachusetts, which is shortly north of Boston.
All right.
And there you have it.
Dive in with both hands. All right. Oh, well.
It's a reference that is too, but we'll let it be ambiguous.
It's one hop this time.
All right.
We'll one hop our way to get ourselves some Night Shift Brewing. How's that?
All right, bye. All right, next.
All right, thank you for joining us, folks.
The NFL season's over, so next week, it's going to...
We can focus on the best team in New York. That would be the New York Cosmos, the New York Red Bulls, I mean. No, I guess the Islanders are playing better. We'll have to, I guess, talk about the Rangers, too, and maybe we'll kind of just give our observations as the Knicks ship continues to sink into the night.
Indeed, and pitchers and catchers continues. Pitchers and catchers, I do believe, report between now and next week. So we have that to start easing into. We can talk
about the Hall of Fame, so we can do that too. Yes, we can.
A little easing. All right, bye.
All right, thank you for joining us. Yes, follow us on Twitter and the Facebooks and all those things. Yes, indeed. All right, next.
All right, bye.